Welcome everybody to episode 82 of the Gecko Pod. We are a podcast for the gecko community where we talk about the hobby of breeding crested geckos, new cow geckos. We also talk a little bit about business, the market, all the good stuff. And yeah, we're here. We've been out of it for a little while, right, AJ? And
Yeah,
took a bit of a hiatus.
We've been around, but we've not been on the interwebs for people to watch. So
yeah.
But we've still been here. So
yep. Been working through a few personal things, a little bit reclusive socially. So yeah, just taking a break, being with family for the holidays.
That makes two of us.
This is called
and I think you and I can at least speak for myself. I think my goal was really, and you know this, but my goal was like to go pretty hard in November and then to kind of disappear a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was like selling really hard in November, shipping a ton. And then now I'm over here kind of chilling in December. It's super cold and the holidays, we can't ship all too well. So it's just been kind of a slow time, right?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, like pretty much all of Thanksgiving last week, I was just spent time with a lot of family, and it's been good. Kind of reset a little bit and reorient the I don't know, the social aspect of the hobby and just trying to plan forward for what's going to happen in the future, right? So this episode will be a little bit about looking back at this year, some highlights, and then we're going to kind of take a look forward at what does 2025 have in stock for us, have in store for us, and how can we navigate kind of a different market for sure. And we'll talk a little bit about the market.
And for the hobby, yeah, what's kind of in store for the hobby, at least our predictions.
Yes.
Because I think, I think that's on a lot of people's minds right now, for sure.
Yeah. So, we need a little bit of, we do need reality checks, but we also need inspiration, AJ. We need, you and I need inspiration, and we want to help inspire others to kind of just keep going and not get overly discouraged. But there's still a lot of good things to look forward to. So we'll talk about that
for sure.
This episode. So
I'm encouraged. I think there's a lot to do still. Always.
Yeah. There's always work to be done. Things to be
for sure.
adjusted and fixed. But let's talk a little bit about 2024, AJ. Like what are some of the highlights of this year for you and for myself? And we'll share a little bit and we'll go from there.
Well, I think if we look back to like January, I was out in California with you at Pomona.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So was that our first? No, that was our, how many? Was that like our?
We did California the year before.
Second or third time?
I think that was we did 3 together out here. So we had.
So that was our second one.
Yeah, I believe so. The January one was the second one.
But that one was the first time we actually had our own full tables.
Yes.
Versus when we vended with Red Rocks.
Yeah.
And they let us kind of split with them.
Jenny and Justin. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was kind of our first time in January, was our first time coming out to California, vending the Super Show together and kind of putting on a little bit of a show as far as kind of the animals we brought out and really kind of giving it our all out there. So that was a big highlight for me. I think also learning and dialing on how to ship animals, large numbers of animals, kind of coast to coast. And that show, the January show, proved difficult because my box got delayed and we were sitting at
Delta Cargo.
The Delta Cargo until like 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So, which was rough. But each one of those things you do, you just learn and you don't do it the same the next time, right? So then the next time we had one of those shows, which was it July?
Yeah, or July, end of July. Yes.
That show shipment was flawless, super easy. And we, adjusted. I adjusted kind of how I did it since the last time as far as timing. And so that was a big highlight for me, was just kind of being able to kind of put my mind to how to vend a show like that out on another coast and bring all my animals out and my show gear where I didn't break the bank doing it.
Yeah.
And basically finding a financially sustainable way to vend West Coast
Yeah. If you're
was
traveling and you have to
kind of
ship all your
my
animals.
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you were just gonna go look at like, oh, I'm gonna drive, or I'm gonna put my geckos in a FedEx box and ship them. I mean, it's not even viable.
Mm.
It's not
Yeah.
even a viable option.
Yeah. That's
So
all.
I think
It's like,
kind of where we landed worked out pretty good. So
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that was a big highlight for me for sure.
it's interesting that a lot of people like travel for shows, and I'm always thinking like, wow, you definitely have to sell a good amount of animals to cover your cost of some of these trips, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so
Like the base cost of going out to a show is probably a couple $1,000. Like
yeah,
at least a big show like that.
paying for hotel,
If you,
you're paying for your rental car, gas, and all that
your
stuff.
booth
Your booth,
cost,
your
your food, your flight,
man, it is
it's a lot.
it's got to be pretty tough
It's expensive.
to vend. It's got to be vending not locally is it's an interesting, it's an art for sure. A lot of people do it though.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people do it, but to do it well was something that I wanted to figure out how to do.
Yeah,
And so I felt like I accomplished that, which was really
yeah.
cool. And then just building relationships with West Coast people,
Hmm.
like the fact we were able to go out to dinner with a bunch of people out there, and
Yeah.
we got to hang out with some of the Korean breeders, which was cool, and kind of build that bridge a little bit between some of those Korean breeders that had come over from Seoul and then came here, and we were able to kind of get dinner and
Hmm.
hang out and look at each other's animals, buy each other's animals. And
Yeah.
so that was really cool. I liked that aspect of it quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, those are fun. It was a fun show. Those are fun to kind of vent with you and a few other friends and just have a good time. And yeah, it just makes it more enjoyable, you know. I how is I have to ask, you know, a lot of people do this, but how is vending by yourself? Like with without knowing
It
anybody.
sucks.
Oh.
It sucks. I don't know. It doesn't. I think it more so just sucks because I'm really I'm a social person. So
Yeah,
if I'm just standing there all day by myself, I'm like, man, this would be a lot more fun if I had somebody else with me.
yeah.
That's why almost always at every show I'll be like, hey, I'll buy vendor badges if you want to come and
Yeah,
just
help
hang out with me. Like
Yeah.
you don't even have to help out. Just come and talk to me while I'm doing this thing, and keep an eye, make sure people don't steal things. But
But
yeah,
anyway,
no, I'm not a fan of like totally like soloing shows. That's
okay.
not my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm an
If
introvert.
I had my way, I never would.
Yeah, I'm an introvert, but I can't, since I've only vended shows with, you know, friends, I can't imagine doing it by myself because I'd be like, you're just standing there and you don't have help, and then, you know, it seems like it would be, I mean, a lot of people do it, but it seems like it would be a lot less fun if you don't have friends there.
I think a lot of people do try to have like a friend or a spouse or
Yeah.
somebody there, a second person, just to pass the time with when there's downtime, because you don't want to be, the last thing you want to be doing is like sitting there looking at your phone
Yeah,
while
that's true.
customers are walking by, even if they're not engaged with you at the booth. The last thing you want to be doing is like
Yeah.
sitting there looking at your phone. I'd rather like have somebody else there that you can be chatting with while, there's downtime.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
and then you can spot each other if you need to use the bathroom, if you need to get something to eat.
That's true.
Whatever, any of those things, you have a little bit of relief there. So I'm always a fan of having a second person.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah, the shows. What about do you have any reflections on the shows? And then we can move on to different stuff.
Yeah, I did. We did. Yeah, those were the shows, the Cali shows, and then we did
Flora Fauna.
Yeah, so I flew animals out and then I flew it out to Brian, and then I met up with him, and then he took so he helped me there on that aspect of bringing the animals over, which I appreciated. And it was good. And I vended with Chad. We split a table together. It was fun. I think it was fun. I think, just learning how to, like you, learning how to get animals to show, trying to figure out the cost, whether it's worth it or not. And I
Mm.
think I think those things are important to figure out. I mean, because it's always fun to vend shows that are outside of your local area or outside of your state. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and to do that, it's definitely, yeah, I think it's fun to figure out what that actually looks like, and if it's something you can do consistently.
If it's a good use of your time and your resources and
Yeah,
everything too,
yeah. So I mean, what
because
I've
it's a
learned,
commitment for sure.
yeah, I think what I've learned for me personally with kind of my stock is that maybe vending is takes a back seat if it comes to if to fly all my animals. Just because I don't
Mm.
have a lot of animals and I don't have,
Mm.
you
So
know,
it's hard to make up that. It's hard to make up that travel expense and still feel like it was worth it,
yeah,
just because you don't have enough animals on the table
yeah. So
when you're doing far away shows.
yeah, and then also kind of my stage of breeding and kind of needing to grow out certain stock and not having sizable animals. I think those are things to take into consideration too. So those are all things that I've kind of
Mm.
figured out or trying to figure out and learning as I'm wondering if I should vend in the future, like over other side
Yeah.
East
Well,
Coast.
I think that that's kind of like the point that you're in, whatever that
Mm.
4 year kind of, around 4 year point where you get to the point where you have animals to sell,
Yeah.
but the nicest stuff that will yield you like good revenue, you don't want to sell because you see it as so pivotal to keep
Mm.
to hold back and beef up your stock
Yeah.
even further. So you're kind of at that pivot point where it's like, I don't want to sell this stuff, but I need to,
They make some money.
pay the cricket bill and pay back some of my investment and whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's always that like toss up of like, all right, you trickle a few, but
Yeah.
you keep a few, and it's finding that balance is tough. And I know
Yeah.
that I've heard that from you, and I've heard that from others for sure.
Yeah, I think yeah. So I think even I mean we could touch on that more too when we look into the future in terms of strategy for
Mm,
how to maximize your stock, but also the balance of sales, how to trickle things. I think I'm
mm,
right because I'm right there in terms of trying to figure that piece out, and it's
mm,
definitely a low key stressful, so
mm.
yeah. So anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
the shows
makes
were
sense.
a highlight. The biggest
Yep,
thing that everyone knows is Palm
because
Tree.
it's people.
Yes, yeah.
Like within the shows, it's people. I think the biggest highlight for the shows is the people. Like I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
back on
right,
the
right. Yeah.
show, and I don't think about like how many animals I sold, but I think about
Yeah.
like the conversations I had and the people that I met,
Yep.
and
Going to dinner.
like yeah.
Yeah,
And the rest of the stuff, like you can't do that stuff without selling the animals and making the money to do it.
yeah, yeah,
But like those are the things that when I think back, those are the things I remember.
yeah, yep, yep.
So
So yeah, it was always good times. Good times with you guys. So it was fun.
yeah.
Um, another
Okay, Palm Street.
yeah, another highlight was Palm Street, which everybody knows about. Mainly because it definitely was a market shifter for the geckos. People are wondering
Mm.
what it was at the beginning, and
I think not everybody still knows what it is, but
that's
at this
true.
point, you should.
That's true.
You should.
Yeah, and then not everyone's on there that wants to be on there. So I think there's
Mm.
definitely some tension there when it comes to just whether or not people view Palm Street favorably or not. So
Mm. It's kind of a mixed bag right now as
I
far
think
as
so.
like how people think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
So, what would you say? So, we'll just kind of give the overview. So, basically, Palm Street was a plant selling app,
Hmm.
previously called Plant Story. And they kind of rebranded, I think, because they wanted to sell other categories other than plants.
Yeah.
I'd imagine there's probably more to that than just that, but I'd imagine it was that. And then we had met um, we had met Jeff at Flora Fauna, who was an employee of Palm Street,
Yes.
and he had kind of talked with a handful of us at the show about kind of helping pilot or kind of feel out what would be involved in kind of selling reptiles on the platform.
Yeah.
So there was, I don't know how many of us, 10 or 12 of us. There's probably
Initially,
about 10
maybe
or 12
less.
of us, right?
I felt like there's like
Well,
a little bit
there
less.
was like me, Brian, Gabby,
Hmm.
Scott, Noel,
Brian, Susan.
uh, Brian, Susan. Who else was it?
Uh,
I'm trying to think of the first wave
I
because
think
those are all.
the main wave
That's
of people.
all. That was all the people that I feel like were approached during
Yeah.
Flora Fauna, or were kind of like brought
Hmm.
under that umbrella during
Yeah.
Flora Fauna, and then after that, it was kind of like
Kind of a slow trickle.
trickled.
Yeah.
It was more based on like referrals and recommendations from the community and stuff. So, but basically, they were worried initially just with like they'd never sold animals on the platform
Yeah. Yeah.
before. So they're like, okay, let's kind of go slow and trickle it and kind of see how the community's response to it is going to be, if there's going to be pushback, if not. And I think that we did a really good job of, you know, I think that original group did a really good job
Yeah.
of having like um, a positive light kind of in that community. Even people that didn't understand animals, like there would be people that would come in the lives initially and be like, "Why are they in little cups?" And like, I don't understand this. Like, why do you,
How do you
just
take
like
care of these things?
they don't know anything about reptiles.
Right. Right.
And I think that that first group did a really good job of kind of educating people
Hmm. Hmm.
and I don't see much of that at all anymore. Like I don't
Yeah.
see too much confusion or whatever
Yeah.
worry within the chat of plant people watching or whatever now. So I think it's kind of in this point right now where more sellers are starting to be added, and it's people are kind of figuring out how to market on there and market the lives and get on there. But yeah, it's had its ups and downs. I feel like it was pretty fast and furious the first couple months.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. A lot of the first wave, like it was a kind of like the shiny new toy. So everybody was in there buying things and moved a lot of
Yeah,
animals. And then even the subsequent people that got trickled, the wave two, wave three, wave four people, even they sold.
did well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone did well. They sold out. A bunch of people sold out
people
all
are
their
still
stuff.
doing well.
Yeah, we take Butler for example. That guy sold out for sure, for sure, right? That
Yeah,
guy,
he sold 100 plus
he
animals right
sold
on
every
his
single
PalmStreet.
animal that he had, and he did killed it, and you know,
Yeah.
depending on whether or not however you market it or however you do it, whatever it is, like
Hmm.
the market is still viable. It's just how do we adjust to it?
For
We'll still
sure.
talk about it, but yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean the point is that people that were on Palm, majority of people who did Palm have done well on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall.
I think most people would say that. I don't think that there's a whole lot of people that can say that they haven't sold animals on it,
Right.
or that
Yeah.
they've tried and it hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. More.
it seems like I don't know. So the narrative has been, Harry, kind of, is this a good thing or a harmful thing for the
Mm,
community? What's been kind of your take on that?
yeah. For me, I always see it. I mean, I said this on my vlog as well. I see PalmStreet as just strictly
A
objectively,
tool?
it's another tool. It's another
Yeah.
stream of. It's another market, right? It's another venue where you can sell animals. Morph Market, for example. You could say the same thing for Morph Market.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's flooded with animals. There's like last I checked, there was like 7,500 crested geckos listed on there, right? So
Mm.
and with all sorts of prices, and so I see Palm as a positive force for that reason. I'm also really bullish, like I told you, AJ, like, on kind of just the whole like you've been doing this for a few years now, a couple years now with your YouTube auctions, the live sale. I feel like that's kind of going to be the future for many
Live video.
live video, like whatnot. These apps, it's going to be the future for the next decade plus.
Yeah.
It's basically the new
Yeah.
eBay. It's like
Whatnot or
yeah,
PalmStreet or eBay. Even eBay has live video
yeah. So when
because
eBay came
eBay
out,
sees what's happening with Whatnot. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I'm old enough so when eBay came out, I was like, this is amazing. Like, wow, there's all these like random
Mm.
items and you could just bid on them, and now it's
Yeah.
next level to where now it's live stream. Now you get to see the
Yeah.
sellers, you get to see whether they're like a dirt bag or not, or whether they're cool, and you get in touch with
Helps
the
you
person.
feel out people too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really it's awesome for marketing in terms of your brand, your personality, because people are gonna want to buy a bit of the feeling rather than just
Yeah.
like an object, right? Um,
Yeah, you feel
so
out, or the buyer can feel out who the types of sellers they want to support are.
yeah, yep,
You
that's what
kind of
brand is.
find your
Yeah,
live, you find your live that you like the vibe of, and it's like, oh, I watch this live
yep,
on Fridays because I like this person's animals and I like kind of the vibe, and the people that are in the chat and I get along
yeah,
and whatever. You kind of build your little community.
yeah, yeah. I think,
Whether you're buying anything or not, a lot of people just watch and they don't buy,
yeah,
but they like to hang out, and that's
yeah.
cool. That's
So
awesome.
so Palm and these lives are awesome for that reason, where it really showcases who you are, and it allows you to build personal brand, which is key to
Hmm.
your business, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, everybody has geckos. Everybody almost pretty much who can say it has the same geckos. Of course, there's like little nuances to it, but in general, people are just selling geckos, and in order to kind of sell the thing, you have to kind of sell yourself as well. So there's a brand to it,
Hmm.
and PalmStreet objectively does that. You're just on video like this, and you're talking with people, and you're engaging people, and people like, oh, okay, this guy's cool. Let me buy from him. And so
Hmm.
I think for you and I, AJ, like we've sold a good amount of animals because people said, "Oh, I want to buy from you," like that, personally, like
Hmm.
directly, because they've seen us on video and whatnot, and so that's branding. And I think Palm Street now
Yeah.
levels the playing field for people, for anybody, any random person to do this. So
That's the cool thing. And you know, I, I've heard the feedback, even that people have said, oh, you know, that I don't know how to say this, but basically in the hobby, there's been kind of this, oh, it's impossible to get ahead because only the big people can do well.
yeah,
Only the biggest sellers can do well.
yeah,
Well, Palm Street's a great example of like, you can literally build from square one. Like,
yep,
and the good thing about it is like the algorithm, when you join a live, if you look at, there's like the people that are coming in your live.
yeah,
Like if you go live on Instagram right now and you have 100 followers, Instagram is not going to show your live to anyone that doesn't follow you. Like
correct.
there's
Yes,
no,
correct. Yeah,
that only shows your live to followers. The Palm Street Live is showing your live to people who do not follow you.
yeah,
And so it's giving you the opportunity to gain um, viewership and gain platform with people that you didn't have to find and convince to follow you, which is cool. Like it kind of levels the playing field a little bit, where it gives people the opportunity to reach customers that they maybe wouldn't have
yeah,
before,
yeah. I agree.
which is
And
cool.
then we saw that firsthand. We had a lot of first time
Yeah.
gecko buyers.
Saw
That
people
was
go live for
really
the
fun.
first
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah. So that was
Or we
really cool to
even
see.
saw people that we saw go live say like it was their first Palm Street ever.
Yeah.
They didn't advertise it that heavy, but then you go to it, it's like, man, they got 100 people watching this thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
that's amazing
yeah,
that there's even that opportunity to reach those people without having to do the work of doing all the advertising
yeah.
yourself.
I do
So
think the advertising helps, though.
that's cool.
It
It helps for sure.
definitely
I mean,
helps.
you should do it. But I'm just saying that, it seems like the app does a little bit of,
Hmm.
it gives some people the nudge to watch your thing,
Right, right, right. Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I even appreciate that,
yeah.
even though we advertise and whatever, it's nice when you get some help.
Yep.
So
So I think overall it's good. I mean, the cons. What are some of the cons that you've heard from the general community?
I mean, I think that some people have talked about how it's just kind of like a dumping ground where it's like you just dump cheap animals,
Yeah,
um, and that it's kind of just a race to the bottom on pricing. I've heard people say that,
Mm.
where it's just, anything that and I agree. I mean, if you truly view Palm as the only place right now, I'm not saying in the future, if they build out other features or whatever, that could change. But
Yeah.
if you view PalmStreet as the only place to sell animals, I think it is. I think it is a race to the bottom on price,
Mm.
because the live, at least currently, the like live video auction format, 60-second auctions, 90-second auctions,
Yeah.
it's not currently the ideal scenario to sell high priced or super
Correct.
high quality animals, because those decisions, in my opinion, those decisions take more time than 30 seconds or 60
Right.
seconds. When you're talking about spending multi thousands of dollars, I think it takes a little bit more time, consideration, information on those animals, than what can be provided just in 60 seconds of talking while the timer runs down.
Mm.
So I think that PalmStreet right now, like you're saying, is a tool, but is a tool to sell a certain price range of animals at
Yeah.
this point in time. I think they could change features that could change that, but right now that's how it feels to me.
Yeah, I mean, on that point, AJ, like looking at Butler's, and I was watching a lot of his live. He was selling some
Yeah,
pretty high end animals. I was like, not high end in terms of the pricing. No
yeah.
geckos have sold more than that. Like his highest one was like a 3.2 Exantic Lily White. I think it was RTB.
It sold for 3.2.
Hmm. I was like,
Okay,
wow.
that's good.
so
That's good.
so maybe it's also
I think there has been Chihuahua that have sold for more than that, but that's probably the highest
oh,
crested gecko.
okay. Yeah, and maybe it's because the marketing was backed already by Butler from his
Yeah,
Instagram, and everybody kind of knows who Altitude Exotics is in the hobby, right? And so they maybe
yeah.
people
He,
were
I mean,
geared up to buy already, so that could be it.
he's a pretty relentless marketer. I mean,
Yeah,
nobody can ignore that fact.
yeah,
He posted like 75 reels in on Black Friday in one day. He must have been shooting those for 3 days beforehand, just prepping them. So I mean, you got to give it to him. I mean, he
yeah,
marketed
yeah,
it really really strongly,
yeah,
and he took, which most people can't or won't do this, is he took the risk at starting animals very inexpensively and just kind of like letting it ride and seeing where it landed. You know,
yeah. I mean, he did
I
sell.
saw
Oh no, good.
I saw one visual axe adult sell for like $500, and then there was another one that sold for
Mm,
$3,000. So
yeah,
there was a certain amount of, could he have gotten more than $500 on his website for that one? I'm sure he could have.
yeah,
But there's a certain amount of risk that you assume with PalmStreet,
right.
the risk reward model. And not a lot of sellers, unless you have multiple hundreds of animals, it's hard to go, yeah, everything's a dollar start or everything's a
Yeah,
$40 start, because you can get burned too.
yeah, yeah.
So it's strategy, right?
Strategy.
It's just
Yeah.
understanding strategy, reading the room of the night, doing your advertisement, all that. It all plays into your
I
success.
saw Gecko sold for $1. Not on Butler's, but in another person's.
A, a dollar. That
I
is
was
the
like,
cheapest, I think.
that's definitely
I
the
think that is
cheapest.
the cheapest thing you can sell.
It's a
You
dollar.
can't do
You
like
can do
you
50
can't
cents.
do like cent increments.
Yeah. So I imagine that this dollar gecko was because the person put maybe like an auction of $1 and someone bid a
But they
dollar
put it
and then
buy it now.
and nobody else bid on
No,
it.
I bet they put it up as buy it now and didn't put it as.
Oh
I
my
think that's what
gosh.
it was.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, it's the
Yeah,
range is kind of crazy, and maybe it's because we haven't completely figured out, as a community, how to navigate fully and efficiently kind of the palm space. Right now, it's just like a free for all. Like
it's
we see
it's like an
$50 geckos, we see three
infancy
thousand dollar
stage
geckos.
for sure.
What's that?
It's in its infancy
Yes.
infancy
Yes.
stage still for sure.
Yeah. Because when did we start selling on there? It was right after
Like
Anaheim.
3 months ago,
Yeah, Anaheim was
3 4
July,
months
right? So I
ago,
think it was August, September, October,
August.
3, 4 months. Yeah, 4. So, so
I
yeah,
think it
I
was like
mean,
four.
it's still
So
developing. I feel like I feel like there's more pros than cons to the thing. I think
For sure.
if we don't look out how everybody does stuff, and you just kind of operate personally, like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. I come in with my game plan, and I'm just going to do it. I'm going to market it and post it up on IG to my followers. Come here, and then just do your thing. Then I feel like you'll
Mm-hmm.
feel overall successful, right? I feel like you'll sell a few things, and then
Yeah.
you exit. But if you're watching people sell like dollar geckos or $300 exantics, then you're like, what the heck is going on here? Then
Yeah.
I think that's where you get where
And for some people that's success to them, you know?
yes,
I mean, I don't think anyone selling $1 geckos feels good about it, but I'm saying like I know that I I don't know, it's kind of hard to shake a hat at, like okay, I went live for 2 hours and I made even just like I feel like it'd be very attainable to do like
$1,000.
$800
Yeah.
or $1,000, and it's like for a lot of people that's a weekend show.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
That's a weekend local reptile show. And
Yeah.
so even if you go, oh man, I only sold 4 geckos, it's like, well, you didn't
That's
have to leave your house.
that's
You
four
didn't
geckos.
have to assume any
Yeah.
expenses to do that. Stay in a hotel, leave your family, all that stuff. Where I think that's, like you said, I'm very bullish on live video, whether
Me
it's
too.
Palm or whether it's
Whatnot.
YouTube or
Yeah.
it's wherever you end up doing it. I think live video is just the future.
Yep. Agreed. 100%. Yeah.
At least when you compare it to a local show,
Yeah.
I think that market is going to die. Unfortunately, I mean, I love the local show, but I just think that it's been on a pretty steep decline for years.
Yeah. The live show, the convenience of it. I think as kind of these apps begin to adjust in terms of quality of video, in terms of the features, I think it's definitely the future. I mean, it's just so convenient. I mean, imagine going to a show, spending the weekend there, selling the same four animals, making the same amount of money, right? Like you could do that. You could do that on a live. Um,
And never leave your house, sleep in your own
yeah,
bed,
yeah. So
take on almost no expenses. So when people talk about the fees, like, oh, I have to pay 10% in fees. Well, it's like, well, you didn't have to pay $500 to go stay in a
yeah,
hotel and eat at Applebee's and,
yeah. I guarantee you.
pay $150 to Repticon and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
this stuff. It's
I
like
guarantee you your fees are not more unless you're like selling 50 geckos. Your fees are not more than a vending table at a booth buying a meat.
guarantee it's not. No.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
that argument just falls flat in terms of um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's
So
good
I think live video is
for
going to
future.
be a big
Yeah,
part of the future. And that's not just our industry. I think that is
all across the board.
commerce in the world.
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
I mean, we already like if you look at like Asia and you look at China, how much live shopping there is staggering.
yeah,
Like we are like 10% of what they're doing,
yep,
and they're always leading the innovation in that. So
yeah, yeah,
if that is any indicator, live shopping is going to be it's going to be a huge market.
yep. I feel like live shopping is, I mean, for better or worse, like you said, it's going to end a lot of actual in-person vending shows.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
but
Amazon,
also
right? Um, everybody values the convenience of Amazon, right? So now we do 2 day shipping like nothing.
yeah.
Now we buy books on there. There's no more bookstores around, like there are, obviously
Well,
boutique ones, but
and I get frustrated on Amazon now when I go to buy something and I'm like, "Oh, it's not an overnight delivery." Like it's not going to be on my porch at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
yeah, you
I
get
got to
mad.
wait 2 days. What? You know.
Yeah, you get mad because it's
But I
late in
will.
the day.
But I will say, I mean, if Seoul and Korea is any of an indicator,
Mm.
like they have a lot of online selling. They still have shows, and
Yeah,
shows
yeah,
are still a viable
yeah.
option there. I think it just has to be less frequent,
Mm.
better done, and yeah, it's just I just think there's too many shows that are kind of like, I don't know, just kind of half-assed right now.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Like we need less shows but better shows,
Yeah, better
in my
shows,
opinion.
more marketing and hype to it. Better, vendors, breeders,
Better
whatever.
venues,
Is better, cleaner. Yeah, I think. I mean, I think for vendors, people
higher
who do shows.
expectations of vendors.
Yeah, people who run the shows, I feel like that's gonna be they have to adjust to that. Otherwise, they're just not gonna. Nobody's gonna show up anymore. You know, like in the next
Yeah.
coming years, you just have to adjust to it. So
I mean, I hate going to reptile shows, and I know I've bagged on it before. I don't want to be, vending a show, and next to me is somebody selling candles, and the next one next to me is selling, you
tasers,
know,
tasers and knives.
tasers, and the next one is selling, spreadable cheese, and then the next one's selling
Pop, what is
3D
it?
printed
Kettle corn
dinosaurs.
at Anaheim. They sell. There's a kettle corn guy that has like a 4 table end cap, and he's right in the middle
Yeah,
of everybody. It's like a freaking selling kettle corn. It's funny.
yeah. So I think that the futures of shows. I mean, I think that they need to not look like that. If you look to like Korea and you see they have an entire show that is like synced up, the
Yeah,
style of
yeah.
tables, the
It's like
marketing like is consistent, and
yeah,
people are professional, and
yeah.
it's clean. And I just think now it's a little bit of a flea market in the US.
I wonder if that's more of
So
like a more of the culture of American
it could
shows where
be.
everyone likes the autonomy and the individuality of like representing themselves and just being different. Whereas like in Asian countries, it's very uniform. Like Korea, like
Yeah.
all the banners are uniform, the tables are uniform, all the display cases are near
Yeah.
uniform. The theme overall is uniform. Whereas at the American shows, it's like it's a free for all. Where like maybe people like
But
that, you know.
then it leads to it being a flea market.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm not.
There's probably somewhere between
Yeah,
that
I
would be
don't
good.
disagree with you. I'm just saying maybe it's just the
Yeah.
American culture of like individuality, which is not a bad thing. It's
leads
just
leads to the kettle corn.
yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's funny. Okay, so
Back
wait,
on
off
track.
of
What are
live
you talking
video,
about?
off of live video and Palm Street,
All right.
what
Yeah,
else
yeah,
has changed
yeah.
this year?
The
I
shipping
mean,
has changed.
oh gosh,
We were talking
yeah, we
about
didn't
shipping.
even we didn't even talk about shipping.
We didn't. We were supposed to talk
Um,
about shipping on our live, and I think we forgot. We didn't have time or something. So we can touch on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so something that's changed in shipping is I think there's been kind of a chain reaction. I don't think that there's one thing to point the finger to. I think the morph market shipping launching was probably the largest like
Shake up.
thing that could be shook up. But even prior to that, uh, we were kind of seeing pricing being exposed even before morph market
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
was much more aggressive than what we were being offered as a great deal on some of these other providers.
Right. Yeah.
And so we were seeing pricing say, and I'm not going to name
Yeah.
companies in this, but it's like we were seeing, say my pricing was a box from me to you would be $60. And that
Hmm.
to me was a great
That
deal.
was cheap. Yeah.
Well, then I'm being approached with pricing that's $32, $35, $38. And I'm like, what is this? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, this is what we can sell you a label for. I'm like, well, whatever pricing, even if it was $40, $45, it's like there was a big discrepancy,
Yeah.
30%, 40% under what my great deal was that I had negotiated multiple times. Like I was paying 75 or 80 and I
Yeah.
was down
Yeah.
to 60. And I'm like, this is, it's great. And then you see this pricing. I think a lot of people had that sentiment. I think you and I probably had that a little before the morph market kind of unveiling of shipping happened.
Yeah.
But then that happened. I think that opened a lot of people's eyes to just how much margin was being built in by the third party sellers
Yeah.
as far as
How
how much margin they were taking on labels.
how long have you been paying those prices shipping? Right. Like because back then we are like $80 to $90 plus. Some people even the three digits were paying shipping across the country. How long were you paying some of the prices you were paying for years, right?
Which pricing are you
I
saying? That
mean,
like
yeah,
75
yeah, 75,
forever,
80
forever?
forever, right? Like so,
Yeah.
and these the companies have been around for a long
And so,
time.
and I guarantee that the pricing, the margin was even higher before,
Hmm.
because think the cost of fuel, the cost
Yeah, right.
of all these things were lower pre-COVID and all those different places, and the pricing was just as high then.
Man,
So it's like
yeah. So
the level of the level of margin was high. I mean, super high.
they definitely did a good job hiding what the actual costs were, you know. And again, like
And th-
they're businesses, and so they can do whatever they want. But definitely, it was
I
gate kept.
am
It was gate kept.
I
Like
am shocked by that though, because like I asked, well, I'll just say this: I'm working on just shipping direct with FedEx,
yeah.
and there was this narrative by the big three or big four of shipping that you cannot ship with FedEx
Hmm.
if you are an individual. And through kind of working with FedEx and working with my rep, the process to become an approved reptile shipper, because that is real language. That but the big four were kind of saying you can't do this. It's only us four that can get it. You
Mm,
know,
yeah.
and the reality is that's not true. It takes a little bit of work that's not difficult, but when I asked my FedEx rep, I'm like, I'm shocked that this kind of has been held up this long.
Mm,
That's the biggest surprise to me. Not that it happened, but that four companies cooperated with each other,
yeah.
and they
Yeah.
all kind of held up the same, uh, that same kind of smoke and mirrors for 15 years.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty wild. And I get it. Like you
We're
and I
busy. Yeah.
understand that there's costs associated to business
Of course.
for
Of
sure.
course.
There's
So
costs associated to business, but there's also shipping companies that take much less margin and still operate well.
you're right. Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
there's,
I
I think
think
that's what a lot of people realize.
yeah. Now everyone just gets to peek behind the curtains of like what's going on. And they're like,
Yeah.
"What the heck is this?" And so, I mean, you can't hate on businesses for doing what they're going to do. Like, they're just,
No.
they're just trying to be successful. But like, even for you and I, like, we're going to try to be successful businesses as well. But I do think that the gatekeeping, it just doesn't look good. It's a bad look, Like
Yeah.
once it's blown its cover, um, and that
Mm.
is probably difficult to swallow for a lot of people. But I do think objectively, their businesses are going to do their thing, and now that there's better shipping, whether with more market or others. Like it'll
Or
think the market will
direct.
adjust. Yeah, direct the market will just adjust, and then it's
Yeah.
better for the consumer, right?
Ultimately, that's the truth, is that whatever is best for the consumer will come out.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's the exciting part now, is that there's options. Where
mm.
before, I think everybody was kind of under the
We're stuck.
assumption that,
Yeah,
oh, you've got these four companies and this is your only option,
yeah,
and you just kind of pick which one you jive with the most, but the pricing's not really that different between them.
yeah,
And now you have options, which
yeah.
is good. So I think that's been a positive development in the hobby in
Hmm.
the
I
last
agree.
year
Yeah,
for sure.
it'll be a good shakeup. But what I do feel stuck with is the food. we never,
Yeah, seriously.
we're
But like I
stuck
said to
paying,
you, I mean,
we're stuck paying
the food is
Pangea
not,
or.
like I had said to you before, like even when I have bought materials and made my own food, it's not like the margin
Not
on it
cheap.
is not like
I
it's not like shipping. We'll
Yep,
say
I
that.
agree. I agree. You and I talked about it, and I was frustrated with paying Pangea all this money, and I'll say it because everybody essentially is paying the machine right now, and we all feel stuck. But I feel like we almost have to be stuck unless another legit food company comes around. There's Rapashi, there's others that are good. I'm just thinking like man, it made me consider making my own food. And then, after talking to you, I'm like, maybe it's not a good option. It's,
Well,
it's hard.
I'll just tell you, you wouldn't save any money making food for yourself.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
I'll
Yeah,
tell
that
you
really
that.
sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now
At the
that's why I
scale,
feel so
because
stuck.
the only way you make money is at scale,
Yes. Yeah. So now I feel stuck
like
with
massive scale.
Pangea scale. Oh my goodness.
That's why you just got to feed more crickets, feed more Josh's
I know.
frogs.
Oh, I just right. Oh.
That's also a development. Harry's growing disdain for Josh's frogs
Yeah.
crickets.
Oh yeah. See, I haven't said much about Josh's frogs for a while, so I've been good
Yeah,
about it.
people
Um,
have been missing it. They wanted an update on how you feel.
I feel great. I feel great. Trying to be happy and positive.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, Rapashi food, I feel like is nutritionally. Do you feel like it's pretty good and
I would say it's better.
it's better? It's
But
just not as
after
sugary,
listening, I don't even know if it's that.
right?
I think that there's multiple things that are related to palatability other than just sweetness, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you look at like a Rapashi diet and a Pangea diet, I mean, if you break it down, the ratio of fruit to everything else is pretty comparable.
Mm. Mm.
And so I don't think it comes down to just fruit. It comes down to other
What is it?
factors. It comes down to natural flavors and the level of
Mm.
natural flavors. Probably comes down to also protein sources used as far as um, like the scent that the protein, like insects. A lot of the insect diets are actually
Mm.
less readily eaten than the non-insect diets. I feel like other than fig and insect
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
only. But if you actually break down the ratio of insect protein to like
Fruit.
whey or like say if you look at the total protein ratio in a diet, it's 25%. The ratio of insect proteins often 5% or less. The
Oh,
rest of it
interesting.
is coming from egg, whey,
Mm.
um, or some of these other diets are using like pea
Soy.
protein or different things like that.
Yeah.
And so if you actually make a diet that's primarily insect protein, palatability drops pretty
Mm.
significantly.
Yeah, that's interesting. So a lot of
Same with
that.
if you go too high on egg too, it drops as
Okay.
well.
So a lot of that is masked by not just the ratios, but by flavor and sugar, the sweets.
Yeah. So it's a balance. It's like I think that's why like if you listen to Rapashi's interview,
Yeah,
I don't
those
remember
were
if it
good.
was with Tiki's or if it was with Project Herpetoculture.
Yeah.
He talked about how he basically, when Pangea, he didn't name Pangea, but we all know what he's talking about. When Pangea came out, kind of his food, the complaints people had was that it molded, and his
Yeah.
response was, "It's fruit, it should mold,"
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And Pangea says, "All right, well, we're going to put more preservatives in so
Preservatives.
it
Got
doesn't
it. Yeah.
mold."
Yeah.
And then that they ate that diet better,
Mm.
which could be formulation, could have been natural flavors being at a higher ratio, so the scent was stronger, things like that. That Pangea listened to the uh, requests of consumers as far as what they wanted, and
Mm.
kind of Rapashi's take on it is maybe the consumer doesn't know what's best for the animal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's kind of the toss up, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of balancing like, do I do what's best for the animal or do I do what I think is best?
Yeah.
It's like
I.
when you see them clean the bowl, it makes you feel good.
Yeah. That's true.
But is that actually what's best?
Yeah.
Because
I
there's a lot of
remember.
obese
I
animals too
remember when
now.
we had our Discord, we were doing our weekly Q&As, and that was one of the questions that you posed. It was like,
Yeah.
would you rather have, like a gecko that cleans its bowls or something that's more nutritionally, balanced and healthy for the gecko? And then and I
Mm-hmm.
before at first I wasn't quite sure what you were getting at when you posed that question, and then it makes sense now. Kind of listening to Alan's podcast with his two podcasts the last couple times and just learning how he kind of developed everything. I was like, these things are really thought out in terms of the nutritional value for the geckos. But I mean, I'm too new, like 4 years now, to say that I know much about the food because I've only been feeding. I fed Rapashi early on, very early on, just for a little bit, but the rest of the time I was just on Pangea, so I don't know anything else, and I've done okay on Pangea too. I just suck. It just sucks that I
Yeah.
feel locked to paying Pangea.
You
I
feel
wish
like
there
you
were.
feel like it's a monopoly you can't escape.
Yeah, I literally I was like, there's other diets I can try, but a lot of them are not proven. A lot of these are brand new brands that I don't want to, like put my geckos through
Risk your
unnecessarily.
animal's health on.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well just do Pangea, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same price. So yeah, maybe you got to try Rapashi again. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've
It's
still been
cheaper,
feeding
right? Isn't
Rapashi
Rapashi
in
cheaper?
mix. It's pretty comparable.
Okay.
For the most part, it's like, you get 4.4 pounds for the same price you get 4 pounds from Pangea, you
Okay.
know. But
Okay.
then the shipping's a little higher, but it might not be bad for you because of California.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it all kind of balances out pretty
Yeah.
similarly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that maybe that's kind of the next frontier of something that will change is
The
the
food.
food business in some ways, at least from a transparency standpoint with the ingredients, with the formulations, things
Mm.
like that, I think are going to be more important to people moving forward. Understanding what's actually in their animals' food and why it's there
Yeah. I
is
wonder.
something that people are going to want.
I think the only other person to compete with Pangea is Rapashi, the Rapashi food,
Yeah.
and
It's still basically those two.
yeah, I wonder if there's a way. I don't know. I don't know, AJ. I just feel stuck. There's got to be more options, man. More legit
Yeah, I
options.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure there is.
Hmm.
It's not a closed door for sure.
Yeah. 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 We're still
So
new in the hobby overall, like grand scheme of things. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, what next?
What?
Okay,
What next? What
we
next?
should start. We got to start talking about the future
All
because I
right.
got
Let's
to
talk
get
about
off of here
future.
soon.
Yeah, we just starting ramble about stuff. This is our
Yeah,
normal
yeah. All
conversation.
right, that's good. Yeah, I
Okay.
said, what are we going to talk about, Harry? We had a rough outline, and I'm like, and then I remembered once we start talking, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. We will come
We
up with things to talk about.
there's a lot to talk about.
So
Okay, but
yeah,
from here on, let's talk a little bit about the future. What do we
yeah.
see in 2025 for our personal stuff, for the
Mm-hmm.
hobby in general, um, including the market, and what are some ways we can strategize and help inspire others, including ourselves, to kind of
Mm.
carry on, push forward, and to maximize kind of their time and energy towards being successful as possible in the hobby. So what are we looking forward
Yeah,
to in 2025?
I think for me, I think that it's doubling down on the animals feel that I feel are in high demand
Mm,
as far as things that are being asked of me. Like we all get, if you're a gecko breeder, you get messages looking like, do you have this? Do you have that? It you kind of know what people are looking for if you took all your inquiries and you put them in a spreadsheet and you saw the trends of kind of what people ask you for, you'll
yeah,
start to
yeah,
see things appear. And so each year, I think I kind of take stock of that and maybe I breed a little less tricolor and a little more Dalmatian. I breed a
mm,
little less, pinstripe and a little bit more empty back. And it's just kind of you do this little like up and down as far as kind of how you're allocating animals to certain projects.
yeah,
So that's kind of what's going on right now as pairings are beginning to start. Um, and I don't know if that data set completely holds true for everybody. I just know for me, and even looking at what sells on my YouTube lives, what sells quickly on my PalmStreet lives,
mm,
all those different things are indicators to kind of help gauge what I'm going to do more or less of.
yeah,
I think in general, I'm going to do, as much as it pains me to say, I'm going to probably do less of some niche projects that are kind of more passion projects, at least in this upcoming year where the market is softer,
Mm.
just because it's less easy to sell some of those offspring.
Mm.
I think maybe say I have a project that is in its infancy stages. Maybe I would have used 4 or 5 females on it last year. Maybe I'll use 2 this year.
Got it. Yeah.
Just not go quite as hard on that project,
Yeah.
but use the best 2. Where before maybe I would be a little bit more liberal and say I'm going to use 4. I'll sell the babies. Where now I'm like, I want to have time to focus on selling some of the higher end stuff and have more
Yeah.
mental effort and time to spend on those things, where maybe I'm not breeding as much of those kind of passion project niche animals.
Right.
So that's
Right.
something for me. And then something as unrelated to animal, I think I'm kind of looking for what's next as far as how I spend my time. If
Mm.
that's creating additional products, the vents that I'm working on are just at the very cusp of being available, which
Mm.
is great,
Your
and
vent, your
hopefully
vents.
making.
Quickly elaborate on the vents for people that don't know, just so you can.
Um, I worked with a friend of mine, Ryan, on making vents for basically like a premium version of a round vent
Mm.
for our
Got it.
use using stainless steel
Yeah.
and just premium components so that we have an alternative to kind of the cheap and breakable aluminum round tab vents.
Yeah. Got it.
But
So
a vent that can still be sprayed through.
yeah. Cool. Cool.
So yeah, that's coming, and a 6-inch size for the container store, the large bins, which is not something on the market right now. So just something really that I wanted for myself. I think what I've learned from working with him on that is like, I didn't make that product because I really cared to sell it.
Mm.
I wanted to work with him on it because I wanted that product
Yeah.
for myself.
Yeah.
And I think I'll be looking for more opportunities to do that, where I say, what is something that I want that I can't get? And then I need to make it.
Mm. Yeah.
That's something that I think I'm going to be looking forward to in the next coming years, is like, where is there holes as far as
Yeah.
things that I want to buy, but I can't buy, or the thing that I'm buying is like far below what I want it to be.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. That's good.
yeah.
Yeah. That's good. So
There's
yeah.
no reason for me to just slap a label on something that already exists. I
Yeah.
want to make something that is like better than anything else that is currently
Yeah.
available to me. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's exciting. It's just working on projects like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. When it comes
So.
to the market, in terms of the shift of kind of a softer slash lower market.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those things that you're gearing up towards is because of the market. In terms of your projects, the things that you're selling or things that you're pairing, sorry, and breeding. Are you gearing up?
Yeah, I think it's due to the market and due to maybe how I want to spend my time.
Okay, got it. That makes sense.
I think I could breed all the animals, and I could go live on YouTube 3 times a month. I could go live on PalmStreet twice a week.
Yeah.
I could have my morph market updated, my website updated. I could sell all the animals,
Hmm.
but I think that I would be really burnt out.
Got it. Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of like figure out what the level of that amount of that kind of work that I want to do.
Mm.
So I have to kind of like pick that level, and then whatever time I have left over, I want to be able to spend it on kind of these passion projects.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So that's why I asked. Yeah. It's not primarily a whole because there's a market.
It's not just
scare.
because of the market.
Yeah, not just a market scare, but because you want to focus some of your time on other projects. And I think that's kind of exciting because you've been doing full time for a few years now, and you've been burning hot.
Don't take it as anything. trust me, I'm still going to breed an epic amount of animals.
I think
You're not going to see me. You're not going to see me doing a collection sale in 3 months.
I
So
think you're breeding more animals than you were last year.
yeah, yeah. So
So
don't
you're
take what
good.
I'm saying as
So,
the fact that I'm not downsizing.
which is
Not
funny.
yet.
We were just talking, not to the audience. We were just
Yeah,
talking about how we see a lot of people exiting slash downsizing significantly,
yeah.
essentially getting out of the hobby in terms of a seller on a business level, right?
Mm,
Because people are just kind of worried and scared, and so that's not what you're doing.
yeah.
It's like,
No, it's not that.
no, you're good. um, yeah, that's
Mm-mm.
good. Yeah, I for me, I also ramped up. I mean, I ramped up. I'm probably pairing more animals than I ever have, and I'm excited
Mm,
for it. And just I'm still working on projects, but like you said, I still have a handful of side projects that I might not be spending as much time on. In term, I have like a small DAO project, super DAO project. I have a small empty back project. I have a small-ish tiger project, and initially I was gonna like get more animals to diversify. But now I'm
mm.
reconsidering, just keeping those small, still doing them, keeping it small, and trying to figure out how to utilize my collection. I'm still planning. I'm still kind of thinking through different ways to go about it. Um,
And
yeah,
kind of how you want to use the animals that you have. Like,
yeah.
say,
So
last year you might have bred this animal, this high white animal to a high white. This upcoming year you might breed that high white to an axe lily white to make hats, or you
right,
might
right,
breed
right.
it to a sable or whatever.
Yeah, and the reason for me is because I realized that some of these projects that take a long time. So the high white project, for
Mm.
example, like it takes I feel like it takes
Crazy
like
amount of time.
multiple generations to kind
10
of get.
years.
Yeah, I mean, like, so for you to develop a frost line, I was like, you can't do that in 2 seasons. It says
No.
like I legit collected a lot of like quote unquote high white animals from other breeders, and outcrossed a lot
Hmm.
of things and trying to pair things back together, and it just takes a long time. And it's not that
Hmm.
I'm not going to do it, but now I realize that I can't do it on the scale that I wanted to in order to get the results I want in a shorter amount of time. Meaning,
Hmm.
TLDR, like, it's just going to take me too long. So I'm pivoting towards utilizing the collection that I have, and trying to focus and hone in on whatever exantics, right, that I started producing, um, sables eventually, and just trying to uh, find different variations of what I already know. So yeah, try not
Yeah.
to get too much.
And you're still doing the high whites, but you're doing
Yeah,
other things in the meantime since the
correct.
high white takes so long.
Yeah, man, the
Yeah.
high white is something crazy. I admire people that go into it, but I think a lot of new people that go into it don't know what they're expect don't know what to expect. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you sure you know what you're doing, right? Like, I'm of course they're not sure until they're 3 seasons in, but
Yeah.
so just
It's hard. It's a hard one for sure.
adjusting towards to that, and trying to just maximize. I'm always trying to find ways to kind of maximize efficiency in terms of what I'm breeding and pairing and eventually selling.
Hmm.
So I want to produce things that people want. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's all of our goals. We don't want to make animals people don't want to buy.
yeah. Yep. Yep. And then I'm still I also want to, like you. I also want to work on side projects as well. So I'm trying to. Um, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of you know try to figure out kind of my systems here in terms of the care, so that I can focus more time on various side business projects or whatever it is. um,
Hmm.
and I'm just trying to figure
Yeah, it's
stuff
good.
out.
I think we have similar goals for sure.
We're still very business oriented. We still want to, you know you know income is very important to support our families, and I think we're
Yeah.
just trying to figure out how to best do that. So
Yeah, for sure.
more things to come.
And
Yep.
sometimes that's animals, sometimes that's products, sometimes that's services,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel? We ask this at the end of every year. How do you feel the hobby is going to do for 2025 market wise, and also in terms of people coming into the hobby? What is your
hmm.
gauge on that? I know it's impossible to predict exactly, but What is your feeling on that?
Yeah, it's hard to predict. I mean, I just know from, and maybe it's just because, we sell on PalmStreet or whatever, but
Yeah.
just seeing how many new people are coming out of PalmStreet is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like, considering, and that's probably like anytime there was a new platform, like probably when Facebook came out and you started to be able to have Facebook groups and
Yeah.
show geckos on Facebook groups, there was probably a big surge. And then Instagram, or now PalmStreet being this platform, or even Morph Market came out. I remember people saying like, "Oh,
Mm.
I didn't know that all these things existed, and then I found this website Morph Market, and it just like opened my eyes to all the
Yeah.
possibilities."
Yeah.
So I think now PalmStreet is kind of that current funnel that is bringing new people into the hobby.
Yeah.
So like when we keep referencing this Alan episode, but when Alan was talking to those Project Herpetoculture guys, he was mentioning how he saw, even when he was trying to educate people on the food
Yeah.
and kind of doing his thing, how there's basically like a 2 to 3 year, like the average reptile person only stays in a few years,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Two to
That's
three
true.
years. And then it, either they accomplish what they want to accomplish and they're done, or it was more than they expected as far as
Mm.
work or as far as commitment, and they
Mm.
say it's not for them,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. I think it is inevitable that there will always be people coming and people going.
Yes.
Like that is just going to be the cycle of this hobby.
Yeah.
I think that's just the nature of it.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
like every week we're going to see 10
People
people on
exiting.
Instagram, 10 people on Instagram having a liquidation sale, but then
Yeah.
also, on my YouTube or on my PalmStreet, 10 people a week that buy that say it's their first gecko. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, how can we be part of the solution, not part of the problem, as far as how can we bring more people into the hobby, educate people,
Right. Right.
be kind of like a positive light to teach people how to take care of their animals and
Yeah.
how to produce the kind of animals that they see in their head that they can imagine. How can we teach them like how to reach those goals? That's more the thing that I want to focus on. I want to focus on bringing new people in and then helping those people stick,
Yeah. Yeah. I
more
mean, this is
than how many people are leaving,
yeah. I mean, it is a revolving door, but I mean, this is why you and I have been doing Gecko Pod for a while. It's because we're educating, we're giving all this free information, and it's because we want people to be successful at what they're doing, and we want people to stick
Yeah.
around, and we want people to stay. I think we need
Yeah.
more people to, obviously if you leave, you leave, and that's totally fine. It's not for everybody, but yeah, I feel like there are certain things people can do to um, enjoy the hobby a little bit longer,
Hmm.
and so
And having realistic expectations too, kind
yes,
of
yes,
what you're getting
expectations,
into. Because I think a lot of people think,
yes.
oh, this is great, and they buy 100 geckos in
Oh,
two
dude,
months, and
seriously,
then they're like, what the heck? Like, this is going to take me 3 years to breed these things
dude,
and
it,
sell offspring. It's like, I could have
it,
told you that if you ever asked.
I think that is a difficult thing because as sellers, people like if new people are buying, you're like, okay, you'll sell it to them. But I also think there's a responsibility for sellers to be like, all right, don't go crazy. Don't buy like 50 geckos and you've never owned a gecko before. I don't think that's responsible.
Yeah,
I do know
that's not
that
helpful.
yes, who is it? I don't know who this was, but somebody bought the 100 pack gecko off of Palm. We won't name who the seller was, but it was 120 geckos for whatever, $1,000. Somebody bought it, and then uh, we hear of them trying to like, they like, oh, they're overwhelmed.
Like, give them away.
Yeah, give them away or try to find a solution for it. And then other people have reached out um, that have bought a ton of animals and say like, oh, I can't care for these. I didn't know what we were doing. Right. We've heard that since
Yeah.
since Palm has come out.
Yeah, it's like people buying like they have one gecko and the next week they're like, I got 30 new ones coming and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
don't
have
do
any
that. Yeah,
cages. And we're like, don't do that.
don't do
Like,
that. You have to slow roll this thing because you realize when you
it's so
buy
funny because
animals. you have to grow them out still. So you have time. You have time. So
Yeah. It's so funny when I got into this, that wasn't even an option. Like
mm,
there was one guy in my area that had them, and I went and he had 6 or 7 total
yeah.
in Illinois, in like the whole
Mm,
state.
yeah.
And so then I'm like, okay, I'll buy all 6 of them, you know.
You
And
mean
then
not all
like
120
it
of them?
wasn't. I don't feel like you could even do that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You couldn't hop on a live stream and buy 100 animals in one day.
I mean,
Like
that person
that's
did.
you couldn't. I'm saying you couldn't do that when I
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
before like the last 2 to 3
Yes, yes,
years.
yes. Yeah, got it, got it. Yeah.
So now is especially uh, relevant that you need to be
Mm,
uh, patient. But at the same
yeah,
time, like we've talked about this a lot, people don't listen.
yeah. We
So we can try.
so
We'll try our hardest
I
to
can't,
tell them, but
AJ, I can't tell you. I mean, maybe you experienced this too. I can't tell you how many people I've told. I'm like, at the end of every episode, like we give somebody gives the new breeder advice tips.
yeah.
You always say
And everybody,
quality over
don't rush into
quantity.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like save your money, buy quantity, buy quality, and don't buy like freaking a dozen geckos. Buy like 2 geckos, right? Like get
yeah.
the nicest ones you can.
Because eventually you're going to be producing a lot of geckos, and you don't want to be producing a lot of geckos you can't sell
Yeah, like lower tier
because
geckos. Yeah,
yeah. And their
yeah,
lives, like from a moral standpoint, like we're bringing all these lives into the world.
yeah.
If we can't have a plan for where they're going to go, like how that's not very
Yeah.
ethical
I
either.
so I
So
mean I do see two types of sellers. There's the ones going going hard into breeding, and then some are just enjoying a couple of geckos here and there. With that, yeah, you could buy any geckos, right? Just buy any geckos and enjoy. But the ones that
mhm.
are heavy breeding, I feel like they need a little bit more advice in terms of I
Yeah.
don't know. Not everybody. There are some good people. There's got to be more
Yeah, for
careful,
sure.
cautious. Just be
Yeah,
cautious.
yeah.
We
And I
want
mean this is advice we've given 100 times,
yeah.
but
I,
also you and I see people all the time ignoring that advice.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
kind of like, all right,
yeah.
well, at least we can check off in our minds that we tried to
We
tell
tried our
them.
best, and I think the thing is because we want people to last in the hobby. I think that is it. I mean, for
Yeah, we
me, I'm
don't
like,
want the two
we don't,
year, 3 year revolving
don't,
door. We
don't.
want people to stick around.
We've seen so many people drop out. Like it's insane. Like it's insane. And so I feel like try your best. Again, like yeah. I mean, if you need to leave for a certain reason, that's fine. But just do your best to slow roll it, and things change, man. I think if a lot of young people get into it, and they have life changes, like they have kids, and I think that's
Hmm.
maybe they're not expecting that, but whatever, whatever. Just slow roll it. Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the future. Well, I think that 2025 will probably look a lot like 2024, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll look terribly different
You think the
from
market's gonna get
my.
any worse?
I don't think it'll get worse. I think it'll stay the same to maybe get slightly better.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it'll get significantly worse.
Mm.
I think it'll be because I mean, there's still high dollar animals selling,
Yes.
and there's still
Yeah.
demand for high quality animals, and there's still a lot of demand for two, three, $400 animals
Yeah.
too.
Which are still good animals.
Like
Yeah.
which are still great animals. So I like people that have kind of a doomsday opinion of the market. I don't agree.
Mm.
I personally don't.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm blinded by the fact that I've done this a long time, so people buy things from me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm naive, but
I mean, you've seen many cycles of ups and downs in the hobby, right?
I
And
can tell you 2008 was way worse than this. Like I
the
remember
recession.
people like wholesale costs like $5 and like people wouldn't even $5 to $7. I remember they would walk around Tinley trying to like the big wholesalers would walk
Mm.
around Tinley and would be offering like $5 to $7 wholesale
Oh my gosh.
and
Yeah.
people would sell animals for that.
Wow.
And it's not even that we're not even close to that point.
Yeah.
So where it was like people were so desperate they'd like basically give their animals away for free.
Mm,
I think some people are doing that, but it's mainly just because they probably get in a life circumstance where they don't have the energy to do anything else.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So be encouraged.
I think that it's not nearly as bad as some people might think it is.
Have
If you
real
weren't there in 2008, it was much worse.
so it's realistic expectations, AJ, but
Yeah.
also not doom and gloom. So
No,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
I mean, if it says anything, Harry and I aren't breeding less geckos coming into 2025.
yeah,
That if that tells you anything, that's our stance.
yeah,
We're not cutting our collections in half moving into 2025. So
yeah. If anything, yeah, we're breeding, breeding more animals.
we're breeding more,
More animals.
you know.
Um,
So
so oh man, I had a good question. Is that it's I just lost it. Had a good question. Anyway, so looking forward strategy.
yeah.
What else can we? What other advice can we give AJ moving forward for breeders, new and old? Old people don't listen to us anyway, so it doesn't matter. But for new new breeders,
All the old breeders in this podcast anyway. Not
old
by
breeders,
age, but by how long they've been in the hobby.
yeah. More
People
breeders
that
that have
think
been
they
here for
know
a while.
everything.
Nobody watches Gecko Pod. uh, what are some other tips, advice, strategies moving forward for other breeders? Expectations.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now it's a great time it's a great buyer's market right now where you can be pretty selective. Where think about like 2-3 years ago, if say you were looking for a quad stripe female, pick something. It's like, okay, what's on the market? Well, somebody posts geckos and they move within 30 seconds of them posting on the market because it was just like such a fever of buying.
It was
Now
wild,
you
man.
actually have
Yeah.
the opportunity to make much more informed buying decisions and
Right.
being more selective with the animals you buy.
Well,
So your opportunity to save time and steps right now is very good.
yeah. Okay. So that's I mean buyer's market is obviously a buyer's market and they can be more picky, which is the case. But now on the seller side, how do
Yeah.
we adjust for that? Because people are getting worried about not being able to sell certain things. Like, are there ways that we can? What are some practical ways we can give to people to kind of adjust to that?
Well, I think you have to get out of your comfort zone, right? You have to be able to be willing to do new era style of marketing.
Mm,
You have to be willing to try going live on your Instagram, talking to your followers, going live on PalmStreet, selling via video. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's being a guest on a podcast.
mm,
Maybe it's starting your own YouTube channel. Maybe it's all these different things that would make you feel uncomfortable. I think new era of marketing, you have to be kind of outside the comfort zone of most.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's what I would tell you is I'd encourage you to take baby steps to do that. Whether
Mm,
that's making a video, going live, being a guest on a podcast, um, you know, even just like somebody else is on PalmStreet and they'll invite you to be
mm,
a co-host, get on there and let people kind of get to know you a little bit. Any of those things. I don't
yeah.
know. I just think that's if you're not doing those things in this day and age, I think you're going to struggle to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you are just so established, like I'm sure somebody like Chase, where Chase is out of the limelight. Nobody has half the people don't even know who
I've never seen
Zengex
him.
Chase or what he looks like.
I have no idea what they
But he's established
is
himself
he
so heavy that he can post on Facebook
and it sells.
and
Yeah,
actually sell animals, which is
is
mind-boggling.
crazy.
But
Is he an old guy by the way?
90
Sorry.
no, I think he's like a little older than us, maybe.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe older than me, not even older than you.
Oh my gosh.
But I think that he, like him and some other folks kind of in that camp, are anomalies, not the rule.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
I agree. You
you
can't be
can't
a Zendesk.
expect,
Yeah.
you can't be a Zengex now.
No.
I think you had to have
Yeah.
become that 10 years ago,
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think modern day stuff, you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way to gain eyes on you now, is that you have to be vulnerable
Yep.
and be kind of out in the spotlight.
Yeah. I think that's
So
the most practical thing is that, and we talked about it a little bit at the beginning. I think your personal
yeah.
brand is everything, right? Because so I mean, I look through a bunch of different gecko profiles and whatnot, and I'm sure a lot of people do. And then what establishes you from the other? Like at this point, there are so many good geckos out there,
It
and
can't just be
everybody,
your geckos.
yeah, everybody's a quote unquote high end gecko seller, which is, I mean, that means nothing anymore. It doesn't mean anything anymore, because everybody has freaking high end geckos. So how do you establish yourself? It's your personal brand. I mean, you can go outside of the hobby and you understand that personal brand is everything. Like your marketing,
Mm-hmm.
watch videos on YouTube and understand how to market, and understand like who you are as a person and making those connections is going to be the game changer in terms of how you're going to grow your business, right? And so people will take to you or not, and you adjust to that, right? It doesn't mean you're fake. It doesn't mean, maybe you're like cringy, super cringy at first, and then you get feedback and you adjust to it. So I really appreciate
Be
when
yourself, unless you're super cringy, and then don't be yourself. Be somebody that's less cringy.
no, so I'll say be cringy, but be open to feedback and saying like, what the f was that, and then you change.
Or you just
Oh,
fully embrace your cringiness, and then you'll
oh,
find people that like that.
and then
That's why people
yeah.
watch The Office, because it's cringy. People
Yeah, but
like
it's
that.
like a charming cringe. It's not like a, oh my gosh, I'm gonna unfollow you cringe.
Yeah,
So don't do the cringe where
that's
people
funny.
unfollow you.
Yeah, that's
You'll
true.
so the thing is, you're just be yourself. I feel like the personal brand is going to attract people that you're gonna want to sell to anyway. I mean, it's that
Yeah,
simple, you know. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, be yourself. Put yourself out there. Let people see you. Put your name on your profile.
Learn how to use technology. Learn how to use your camera.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's big.
Yeah,
We
be
live in
open.
the modern age.
Yeah, be open to change. There's still so many people that be like, "What
Yeah.
the f is PalmStreet? Like, this is stupid. Why would anyone use it?" I'm like, "All right, don't sell anything then. That's fine. Try to sell stuff on Morph Market. That's fine. I like you just don't even use PalmStreet. Like it's just don't.
Yeah.
Like it just there's just you have to
Yeah.
find different ways to put yourself out there. So I don't know.
I'm only going to sell my geckos on Fauna Classifieds and kingsnake.com, Harry. I sell
uh,
my geckos on Craigslist exclusively.
I post at the local coffee shop, leopard gecko for sale. Contact
Yeah.
X contact this number. Yeah. Anyway,
Uh,
sorry. I'm just
yeah.
passionate about it because I feel like so many people could be
Well, we
doing,
want people to succeed.
yeah, so many people can be doing better and well. Again, like I'm not the guru at
Yeah.
all. I still have trouble selling at times as well. I'm just saying like
Mm.
you just have to put yourself out there in order to have
Yeah.
better chances. It's all about probability in terms of in terms of your chances of selling. So
You got to show up,
you got to show
for
up. Yep,
sure.
you show up.
Like 3/4 of success is you actually have to just show up.
Just be an idiot. Some
Like
people will hate you. Some people will like you, and you'll sell stuff. That's it. Yeah.
that. Yeah, that rings true. I'm an idiot. Some people hate me. Some people like me. It's great.
Yeah. And you'll sell animals along the way.
That's great. Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, it works out. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So any
Anything
other
else, Harry, before
yeah,
we
anything else?
wrap?
Let's any what are some things we can plug, AJ, before we close out? We're about an hour and a
I
half.
mean, I think we've plugged
We plugged everything of ours.
PalmStreet enough. We've plugged PalmStreet. We've plugged like online selling. I think you and I sell there.
Yeah.
I think right now we're laying a little low in the winter just because of shipping weather, and
Yeah.
to a point we're kind of chilling. But whatever. People want to sport and buy our animals, do it. we'd love it.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're not gonna beat you guys up with advertisements. So.
Yeah, we're here. Gecko Pod,
Yeah. Yep.
episode 82.
You know where we're at.
PalmStreet, AJD, reptiles, PalmStreet, geckos, IGs, all the same. It's funny. Do new
Yeah.
people even watch
Oh,
this?
well, I'm gonna build my YouTube. Should I talk about that?
Yeah, yes. Talk about that.
Yeah. So you have your own YouTube channel.
Yes.
I have a shared YouTube channel with Gabby that we auction on.
Yes.
I'm going to make my own YouTube channel that's going to have some video content. And then I'm hoping to do, like, if I'm doing live streams that are not with Gabby, I'll do them on there. So
Yeah.
I'll probably run like a pretty sizable kind of initiative and giveaway to get people over there to sub. So stay tuned for that. That'll probably be coming out in the next week or two.
Is it open already? As in, do you have that account open already?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's AJD Reptiles on YouTube already.
Okay. Because I mean, if before I upload this, I'll link.
Yeah, you can link my YouTube that has no videos on.
Yeah.
Right now.
So find AJ at AJD Reptiles on YouTube, and then I'm Zero's Geckos. I have vlogs on there. I'm just putting up content, building out content, and then eventually I also want to do some sales on YouTube. Probably mid to late next year. I'll try to work that out. Cool. AJ style. I'm gonna in case Palm doesn't work out. We got YouTube.
It's not me style. It's just YouTube.
YouTube style.
YouTube style.
YouTube sales style. So yeah, follow us on the tubes on YouTube's, and then we'll have some content out there. What kind of content are you putting out, AJ, in terms of the short form?
I want to do kind of a mixture of maybe not like your style vlog, but maybe like a little bit more of like if I'm working on a project within like my gecko world, I might kind of shoot kind of, start to finish of a project that I'm working on within kind of what I'm doing. Or if there's something that I feel like would be valuable for people, I might kind of shoot like, kind of like take you along with me as I kind of problem solve things like that.
Yeah.
And then maybe some long form stuff in the future.
Okay.
So
I should have you.
Yeah.
I wonder how different it would be if I like have you on a vlog, but it would just basically be a Gecko Pod. I thought about that. I'm like, oh, this would be cool to talk about. And I was like, oh, why don't we just do a Gecko Pod?
You know what we should do, which would be interesting? We should do like a prompt.
Yeah.
Like you should have like a vlog prompt where we both vlog.
Yeah.
And we don't talk to each other. And then we both have to post our vlogs and see if we agree or disagree about things.
It's gotta be controversial.
Or like what our viewpoints would be differing on it. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool.
Yeah, build out your YouTube, your account. So.
Yeah, because I'm sure that I would vlog very different than you vlog.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm more like emo, and then you're like, dude, don't be so sad and emo, man. I'm like, okay.
Harry's vlog drops. Oh no, I got to get out the tissue box.
This is the ramble vlog of Debbie Downer ramble vlogs. That's my style. That's funny.
And mine will just be me walking around being super ADHD and forgetting what I'm talking about.
Eating hot dogs.
That'll be my style.
Eating glizzies.
Yeah, it'll be all of my vlogs will be at the Costco food court.
Oh my gosh, so good. So yeah, follow us on there, guys. Do we have an episode before the year ends, AJ? You think maybe?
Yeah, I think we should have another one before the year ends for sure.
We'll probably have one more before Christmas, and then
we'll have more of a regular schedule.
Yeah, the new year we'll have a few important ones lined up that I feel like will be interesting for a lot of the hobby. It's like industry stuff. So yeah,
it'll be good. I'm excited for the next couple we have.
Yeah, it'll be good. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. Subscribe, like, do the thing. So.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys.
Thank you.
On the next one. See you guys. Bye.